पण मी आता मीटिंग लिव्ह करू नको ना?
नको नको, तुम्ही कंटिन्यू ठेवा.
हा
पण म्यूट करून ठेवा फक्त.
हो. करू नको ना?
हा मॅडम करा. मॅडम आवाज चेक करा.
सर आवाज येतोय?
येस येस येस. ओके.
हा ठीक आहे, मग 11 वाजता बोलते. हा
येस येस.
ओके.
लाईव्ह चालू आहे का? दुसरी तेच ना. तर तुम्हाला ते लिंक पाठवतो ना, ती पाठवतो.
Hello.
हॅलो मॅडम, आवाज येतोय?
हा येतोय ना?
हो.
1-2 मिनिटं आहेत अजून का स्टार्ट करू?
2 मिनिटं आहे. हॅलो पाटील सर. पाटील सर,
Yes, sir.
can we start?
Yes, sir.
Wait. हा, गुड मॉर्निंग मॅडम, स्टार्ट करा.
Okay.
हा.
Good morning, everyone.
हा.
Today we are in the 4th day of the FDP, that is Gateway to Innovation. I request everyone to stand up for the national anthem.
जनगणमन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल वंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you, everyone. Today we have a most prominent person of University of Mumbai, that is Dr. Rajendra Patel sir. Dr. Rajendra Patel sir is the most famous and renowned assistant professor Vidyalankar School of Information Technology, Mumbai. He has completed the undergraduate and post-graduation education in computer science from North Maharashtra University, Jalgaon. He has also qualified a state eligibility test for lectureship SET, that is set in the subject of computer science and applications. He has also pursued his PhD in design and development of a tool for automatic donor matching of sperm banks and IVF centers using data mining techniques at the North Maharashtra University, Jalgaon. He is an author and co-author of some reference books. That's all for Rajendra Patil sir. I request sir to please proceed with the session of the day.
हॅलो हॅलो. हा पाटील
Okay.
सर.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Yes. Good morning, all. Thank you, madam, for your kind introduction. And also, good morning to all the participants. I'm also thankful to ICS College, Khed, the management, principal Dr. Sagar sir, then HOD and the convener of this international conference, Professor Sachin Bhosle sir, and other dear friends from ICS College. So, for this international conference, earlier from last 3 days, you are going through various topics, and I'm just trying to touch this burning topic, which is really in this COVID time, has been realized by each and everyone that how our educational system can be enhanced using the technology. And when we say the technology, of course, we expect the intelligence. So I just given this particular theme, exploring the education with AI. Now, when we talk about artificial intelligence, so many a times the picture which is shown in the title, so that appears, and a kind of robot or Siri, whatever nowadays the uh, devices you are familiar with through various social medias. So that appears in front of us. There are many fear factors too again during these online sessions. Many of them had also realized that is it the case that whether technology is going to replace the human beings, whether our jobs will be in danger, or are we going to lose our jobs? So many questions are there which might have arise. What will be the role or what will be the future of professors in the field of when if AI will take over all these things? So these are all just the myths, I will say. Human beings will always require. The nature of jobs will change, the roles will change, but at the same time, you need to adapt the technology. If will not adapt, if will not upgrade yourself, then that time it will be difficult for every one of us to equip with the current scenario of the education system. Of course, uh, coming towards the artificial intelligence. So I assume that the crowd, which basically belongs to the non-IT field, or even if they are from IT field, no problem. So I'm not just going to elaborate the definition, but just to understand what exactly this buzzword AI means. So basically, AI tries to execute or AI tries to implement every possible thing which a human can do. So what human can do? The very important thing is human can think, isn't it? Whereas the machines cannot think. And till date, this is the challenge which technology is still having. The day on which the technology will start thinking, thinking means we are generating the thoughts. So technology is having the limitations in generating the thoughts. Technology is excellent at par for processing the things compared to human being. Whereas technology has the limitation to generate the new thoughts. So these are the limitations. This we need to understand, and then you can feel relaxed that still we have a scope uh, at present in this world. Okay, so we have that strong ability of thinking. We have the ability to generate the thoughts. We have the ability to innovate, whereas technology don't have all these abilities. So again, don't worry. But similar sort of things will happen. The picture speaks a lot. You can see that almost the teacher has been replaced by the machine. So the experiments are still going on. A lot of things are happening actually. that how the machines or how these robots are going to play different roles. Now, basically, try to understand. See, human being has the ability to do in work in all the domains. Today, immediately, I can start reading about the medicine field, and I will learn about the things I can. One day, I can become a doctor. The human being at the same time learns the cooking. The human being learns same time regarding the teaching. The human being learns about the technology. So multitasking things we are doing. At the same time, the machines, whatever they are being developed at present. So all these machines are domain specifics. You can find some machines who are playing the role in medical fields. The robots who are or the machines which are involved. So here in the picture you can find that robot is playing some role where in this robot means you can find that he is solving the mathematics, he is trying to teach, or he is trying to understand. So when he is going to teach, definitely he has to learn how that learning process will be done, how he is going to derive the things, how he is going to represent those things in the form of teaching. So all those are the skills which need to be explored step by step. After providing the knowledge, after making the machines intelligent, or rather than calling intelligent, making them knowledge based. So in this particular manner, the things can be possibly appear in the coming decades. Okay, so going for the next. So again, I will come towards the things that the ability of a machine to replicate natural intelligence, isn't it? So that is again the AI which talks about. Again, the ability of an agent to perceive an environment and to choose actions that increases the chance of achieving a goal. So as everyone who is attending at present, everyone is having the intelligence, everyone has the ability to think, ability to derive, ability to generate the things. Okay, so based on all these factors, we have the exploration skills, we have that ability. But how machines are doing this? So there are types of agents who are been in who are been trained or which are designed. So these agents are specific to every domain. Now I will elaborate this with the example. You can see a driverless car. Actually, I'm just going to show you one small video also how that driverless car actually works or how it has been implemented. So there are intelligent agents. How a car comes to know that there is a road, how a car comes to know there is an obstacle, how a car comes to know the road is free, how a car comes to know that this is the environment. So those agents we call in very technical form sensors. So the sensors are sensing and accordingly they are being mapped to the various environment. So they sense about the environment and accordingly the necessary actions are taken. Say the agents to perceive an environment. So they understand about the environment and accordingly the action is taken. So when the driverless car, when it is on the freeway, so the agent gives the signal that this is the freeway. So now the machine is being trained, the knowledge-based system has been developed that if it is a freeway and if there is no object appears, so the speed of the car should be accelerated. When the agent sense that it is a city, so when it is a city, that time again it accelerates. Whatever the accelerated speed is there. Sorry. So the speed is been reduced. Okay. So in this particular manner, the agents are playing the role and accordingly the necessary actions are taking place. Okay. So again, it has been a bit elaborated. So to choose the actions for what that maximizes the expected likelihood of achieving a goal. Okay. So that is what again AI. So now the revolution that is now happening in terms of AI. So So AI in education, AI for transforming, AI for learning. So of course, from early 40s, the evolution of artificial intelligence started. And further, it was been realized that the industry is not supporting to the AI concepts. Only researchers were focusing, they were doing the work. Some theories were proposed, but there was no response from the industries. And then that was really demotivating the researchers that although we propose various theories, we come out with many of the solutions also, but still we are not getting enough fundings or the response. And that's why the development of AI was it was been slowed down during the early 40s. At the same time, we were not having the enough infrastructure that can accommodate these AI concepts. Slowly, up to there was a Dartmouth conference that held in 1952, which was treated as the historical conference for AI, where the birth of AI took place. Because earlier the researchers were talking about the blah blah things, intelligent systems, intelligence, so that artificial intelligence was not specifically defined. So in that conference, this term was coined as AI. And then slowly the people again got motivated, researchers were really motivated. Then the things were introduced in the academics. Few universities initiated the things. Literatures were published. And accordingly, the journey of AI started showing. In the 80s, industries realized when the chess game and all these examples, when these applications were introduced, computer playing a chess against the human, and that too again in a very powerful manner. So that really uh, motivated the industries and the investors to invest into the concepts of AI. And at the same time, medical applications were also involved. And from 81 to 2000, so there was another era. So I will discuss that also. And then 2000 to 20s, we were into different eras. And from 20 onwards, that will be the another era of AI. Talking about the examples of intelligence. So as already I had discussed that agent is there. So agent, these are the sensors which detects the current scenario, and environments are the scenarios, means the agents are the sources which are detecting the environments, and accordingly the actions are there. The actions are to achieve the goal, and also there is a perception. So it is very important to understand these 5 components: agent, environment, goal, perception, and action. Here the examples are given in the matrix form. You can see the agent like human is there. If the environment is the exam, of course the goal is to pass the exam. Perception is if I want to pass the exam, I should read, and action will be I need to solve it. Okay, so these are the activities which are interdependent on each other for this particular agent. So agent, environment, goal, perception, action. The next comes mouse. Mouse, again, that is the agent. Environment, it detects the maze. Goal is to chase. Then perception is to see. And then action is to navigate. Again, we can take the agent as ants. Environment, you can find the colony. Goal is to protect. Perception to smell, and action will be to attack. Okay, so try to understand in the similar manner all our present or the current AI applications are being developed. Even let it be anything. It can be the driverless car also. It can be whatever the application you feel. So all these things you can find as the example which are been derived and framed based on these 5 different components. Okay. So coming towards the theme that exploring the education with AI. So basically AI has enhanced the quality of education. Okay. So when we say that AI has enhanced the quality of education, so how it has enhanced the quality of education? Today we are seeing many of the tools which are available, the simulators are available, and those are being precisely used by various other subject domains. Those who are techno savvy, even the people from arts, commerce, science, they use it. Few people need the training, and enormous things you can find again in the field of IT again, where various IT applications, various AI tools, which are playing very important role and addressing the various issues, technological issues. It may be related to the networking. So we have the smart routers, smart cameras are there. We call them AI-based cameras, which are playing the role. So that way now they are playing. So smart boards, which are appearing or which are being set up now in many of the colleges, institutes, you can find. So those smart boards are playing very important role. So where you can have the notes, you don't need to completely depend on the computer. You write it, whatever your natural lecture is there, that has been recorded, that is saved, how many students responded to it. So that analytics has been generated. So many things are happening. The polling takes place. Okay. So whatever the things are there, so in your using your smart board, it is possible for you to derive a lot of knowledge out of it. So whatever the activities that we had in the classroom sessions using the smart board, so that really enhances the quality of education. That really records or that helps you to analyze the minute things, that what is the level of response in the classroom, how attentive the students are, isn't it? What is the level of the student? What is the understanding level of the student? Because whatever the respective questions are there, in what type of responses we had received for those questions. So all this sort of analytics is possible using those smart boards and all. Over the decade, we can see there are several challenges of learning, including the language processing, reasoning, planning, and cognitive modeling, which have been addressed by the artificial intelligence applications. In fact, the both education and AI have made for each other, whereas the education, it is a means to develop minds capable of leveraging the knowledge pool. So here you can find the it can automate the grading system. Now, what is there in our current scenario? We had been almost we had adapted the online assessment and all. Okay, now slowly the AI will be involved in this assessment and grading system. The knowledge-based system will have the record of solutions, or they will know the what is the exact solution of the question and what is the level of that. So accordingly, the system will have the knowledge. Of course, in the theory answers, the pattern of writing is different, it varies, but the common keywords which they are appearing, so if they have been mapped to the knowledge-based system, so human role will no more exist. Or there can be certain scenarios, the assessment done by the AI system, and then in manual, how is the AI assessment, the manual assessment is done. So those scores can be matched or they can be compared, and accordingly, one can test with the automated grading system. Many a times it happens, the manual errors may take place, there may be perception issues, or there may be misconceptions, or misinterpretation may take place. And many a times the students are being affected with their grades. And again, there is a reassessment process which is happening. The student is suffering, the delay is there. So all this stuff can be reduced if we have a knowledge-based assessment system. Almost the experiments are being done. Things may be in the execution in the coming few months, you can find it. The universities, colleges will soon adapt it. Then there will be the software which can be adapted to for student needs. Almost they are being used by various reputed institutes. The student profiling is done. That what is the best course for the student, because when they are enrolled for any of the program, many a times the student is just enrolling since his father wants to become make him as IT engineer, but what he really want to become. So some systems, the robot based systems are there where you just put up your, the questionnaires will be there, your assessment will be done, and what is the right career opportunity or the option available for you, that can be figured out by the system. To improve the content of the courses, really right now we are totally depending on the university based systems. University is mapping the syllabus, they are framing, designing the syllabus. Nowadays government has started the initiatives to come out with the autonomy, where in the autonomy people can change the syllabus as and when needed. So that flexibility really helps the institutes, but the institutes which do not have autonomy, they are totally depending on the university procedures and all. So in future, rather than having, so like in the field of technology, today what I am learning, what I am discussing may not appear to tomorrow. And if it does not exist tomorrow, why students should learn? Why we should teach? Why it should be the part of academics? And this limitations has really uh, hold everyone in the last 1 or 2 decades, we can say, just because of the systems, protocol systems, framework, that 3 years you have to stick to the syllabus and all that stuff. But now this AI based system can help you to understand that from these topics, certain topics are eliminated, you replace the new one. So you will have this smart dashboard which will help you to reframe your course contents. Student could get additional support from AI tutors. Of course, there are now bots which are available. Web bots are there. Uh, and again, the best example, I'll be showing you one small video again. So how that those AI tutors are nowadays playing the role. Then there are some AI driven programs which can give students and educators the helpful feedback. So many a times the feedback, there is no relevance sometimes in the set of answers what we are answering there. And then we are not able to draw the conclusions properly based on the manual feedback. It is altering how we find and interact with the information. It could change the role of teachers. See, it is nowhere it is mentioned that it is replacing the teacher. It will change the role of teachers. So teachers will be the facilitators in the coming era. We are going to play the role of facilitator. We won't be further called as teachers, because teaching will be done by the systems. But what should be taught, which method should be adopted, all that you set it into the system and how the system is behaving. Okay. Then how students are responding to the system, because somewhere the human role is there. So on behalf of teachers or the representative of teachers, there will be the machine, but there won't be any representative of the students. So how students are responding, what is their participation level, how they perform, where they are lacking. So all those things can be recorded. So that will be maybe in the coming era, the future, the role of teachers may change. AI can make trial and error learning less intimidating. The data powered by AI can change how schools find, teach, and support students. AI may change where students learn, who teaches them, and how they acquire the basic skills. So what are the basic skill sets which the student is having? What is their strength? What is their strength? So all that SWOT analysis can be done. So like this, the different roles where AI is going to play in the education sector. So these are all discussed here. Yes, you can find the books are there. We are exploring the books. Nowadays, the students are just going through the print media. They have the various e-books, e-contents, videos. Almost the literatures are now almost changing now. all they are transformed to the digital fields. Okay, based on this digital equipments, the students' learning perception level is also changing. So what is happening? You can just find out that a lot of explorations which are happening there. So how is AI changing the education industry? Okay, so almost now you can see one is the smart classroom. Here you can find it in the picture. At the same time, the books. Now they don't need to search the books. At the same time, which book is placed where? What are the books or e-books which are available? So e-books, the physical copies, where they are placed, how to access the data, everything has been placed. Now, rather than inquiring, so there is some robot-based system here you can find. So at the inquiry counter, so that system will help you for any of the information which is required for counseling purpose. You can have the system. Okay. Here also just to understand the program. So here also in the corner you can find student who is interacting with some system. So like this, the scenarios will change. Okay. So this is how the education industry will be slowly replaced, and there may be many more which we are not listed again in this slide. Uh, Here I will just show you the how the transformation phase that is happening. The student teaching. So it is a instructivist will be there. The student supporting will be the constructivist, teacher supporting, and there will be system supporting. Okay. So in student teaching, uh, means when we say student teaching, so it is an instruction-based teaching. So there is an intelligent tutoring system that will help. So which is including the automatic question generators and brain-based teaching. There will be the dialogue-based tutoring systems, the language learning applications, which is including pronunciation, detections, and all. In student supporting, means constructivist. So exploratory learning environments can be proposed there. So there will be the formative writing evaluation, learning network orchestra, language learning applications will be there, AI collaborative learning. So a lot of things will be there. When I suppose a student learning some commerce related accounting and all. Now, not necessary that he should learn those things through board and this paper, or the notebook should be there. There will be the smart books. He will have the pad and some software will be there. So that collaborative learning is possible. There will be the continuous assessment through the polling, can be the adaptive sort of things. AI learning companions, the course recommendations will be there. That what is the best course. Many a times electives are there which are offered by the uh, in the curriculum, and then students are confused which elective to be I should opt or which elective I should select. So accordingly, the systems can help the student to opt that particular course elective. Self reflection support will be there. So it will include the learning analytics, metacognitive dashboards, learning by teaching chatbots, and all. There is a teacher support system. So in teacher support system, that is the learning diagnostics, the summative writing evaluation will be there, student forum monitoring, AI teaching assistance, automatic test generations, then automatic test scorings will be there, your OER content recommendation, plagiarism detections. Nowadays, many of them when they are doing the publications. So, sorry. The plagiarism detectors means online plagiarism detection is happening. Whatever you want to publish, it gives you the whole citation history or the analysis is there. So what is the level of plagiarism that is there? So accordingly, one can take the necessary action and he can correct it. Student attention and emotion detection. How attentive he is. So this is the upcoming one now. And in this blending teaching now, what you had adapted during this COVID times. So there will be the blended form of teaching now. So student, when they are mostly attending the online sessions, So although we had successfully adapted this infrastructure, but still it is not an effective infrastructure. There are limitations, those exist. The videos are off, audio is off, system is on. But what is the level of interaction? How I will be able to detect the emotions of the student or the learner? Whether he is really he is. So those will be the limitation. But maybe in future AI is definitely going to play a role for improving this blended learning also. There are other system supports that educational data mining for resource allocations, diagnosing the learning difficulties for dyslexic people and all, slow learners, special students we say. There will be synthetic teachers, please understand this. Okay, so who will be providing you the specialized things, will be giving you synthetically the thoughts, the learning aspects and all. And then AI as a learning research tool. So these are the four different aspects that will really happen or which has started in the process of evaluating the educational system. So future is about change in the present. So how we are adapting the change at present, that based on this the future depends. So education, as we know, is the solution to social and economic problems. And to understand the impact of AI, we need to understand the industrial age. So what made the 20th century so special? Why jobs and economic growth? Why need for skills and knowledge? Why schools and teachings? How the digital, global and AI enhanced world will be different. Okay. So again, coming towards the title, that future is about the change in the present. If we will not change, or if we are not ready to change today, then the future will, these things will be delayed. So whatever we are talking, whatever these international webinars we are organizing and discussing all these things. So if we are not ready to accept it today, definitely it is going to be delayed in the future. So the future is like, see, the teacher, see the gadgets, students, only the human role of student, as a student you are finding there. Okay, the robot where again the camera, a screen, display screen is there, which is recognizing, which is understanding the student responsiveness. Okay, definitely there will be the drastic change again in terms of teaching, that there will be the interaction that will increase. So how that teacher and AI collaboration will take place? So you can find in the picture, like teacher who is just introducing the machine, the gadget. She is working with the gadget. She is operating. So she is the facilitator. She is a synthetic teacher. Okay. Whereas the other students who are learning that how this gadget works, how the gadget is used for education. So say AI can drive efficiency, personalization and streamline admin tasks to allow the teacher, the team, the time and the freedom to provide understanding and adaptively. So here uniquely human capabilities where machines would struggle. So here AI can help to fill the needs, gaps in learning and teaching and allow the schools and teachers to do more than ever before. So many times we were, so current scenario is again in between, as if we are not knowing the directions, that really what type of educational systems we need to develop, what are the guidelines, why there should be the universal structure, why everyone should study in a similar structure. Everyone's learning aspect is different, isn't it? So everyone's method of teaching is different. Okay, so let the teacher give the freedom, he will teach. Earlier, before formalizing our UGC and all these educational systems, We are in the ancient time. So there were Gurukul systems, and whatever the skills which are required, the main focus was on skills. In again, as the transformation took place, in between somewhere it was realized the skills were missing from the education system. And again, when there was a realization, and now again we started focusing on the skills. Okay, so what is missing? Then value base is missing. We are more towards the skill oriented, whereas the value based education is really now missing now. Many of them are educated, they call them qualified, themselves qualified, but they are missing the civic sense. Somewhere the civic sense is missing. They don't understand how to manage the relationship. So these are all the value based educations, isn't it? So how to do the parenting, how to become a good father, how to become a good mother, how to become, so that is also the education. Learning anything is the education. So again, this cannot be taught again in the school or the university syllabus. So again, for that, to fill up those gaps, there will be again changes. Once the saturation for skill and all, everything will happen. So again, the things will be diverted towards the value based, skill based, leadership thoughts, and all the other kind of education which is required. Now, in this picture, you can just find out at how the gadget based learning, I will say, the technology based things which are appearing. Teacher, she is almost using the projector, the laptop, the softwares or the simulators which are there. Again, there are learners. The learner is only having the gadgets placed on her desktop, sorry, on her table. And those gadgets are, all those are the smart gadgets. And the interaction, what is happening. So no need to record, no need to write. We also started adopting with the ICT and all. That was not the AI. That was just the tools or the technological facilities which we are using, which we are using at present in the classroom. And we call them as the smart room. No, it is not the smart room. Smart classroom are something different, where it gives you the exposure for different software or the applications which you can explore, where you can just connect related to the educational activities, and you can enhance your learning process, teaching and learning process in an effective manner. So that somewhere we call it as a smart, yet it has to be there in the existence. So here you can just find out that how in future the things will be there. This is just the proposed model. Maybe the classrooms will be VR based. So as we had realized now, without classrooms, the education can still be continued. The only challenge at present we have to well equip with the infrastructures. So the infrastructure of internet, the laptops you should have. Maybe in the coming era, you will have the virtual reality based environments. So like VR classrooms, whatever virtual reality or augmented reality things when it will be there. So of course, the scenario of education system will change. All students as they are now appearing, as we all are appearing in this Zoom meeting room, we can only see the names, who is participating, who is been attending through the camera, we can just interact. But still we are not having the feel of that conference. So this augmented reality and virtual reality can add all those things to this particular flavor of conference. So what it can add? You will be having the glasses, VR glasses, augmented reality based glasses that you have to wear it. There will be the classroom or the webinar room that you can find. You are sitting on the chair, you are relaxing, you are attending the session, you have a feel of all that air conditioned hall. So, and then in front of you, like at present, Rajendra Patel is interacting with you. So he will be just in front of you as if he is just delivering a session for you only, specially. So that sort of feel will appear. Even when you look towards your left, right, so who all are sitting towards your left and right, all that you can see. So that sort of feel is possible where this AI based or VR based industries are nowadays really working very hard, and soon we'll be having such type of infrastructures. So our almost physical classrooms will be replaced with these virtual reality based environments. Here we have the teachers and students. So these teachers, students, you can see the means nowadays the multimedia devices are used for learning in smart room as they are listed. And finally, whatever the data which is processed, so all they are generating the data in terms of your MP3, MP4, or your JPG images, zip files, XLS data, or doc files, or PDF, all that. Now, this is not enough again. The next part, again, AI continues. So how many students are attending, what time he is login, what time he is log out, for how many questions he is responding, what is the level of his understanding out of 100% delivery that he has understood 60%. So today we are not in the position to do all that sort of analysis. Still we are doing it. So that is what our NAC, NBAs and all, they are asking us that how you evaluate, what are your assessment systems, how effectively you are doing it, isn't it? So NBA is again asking you when you are setting the question paper, what is the response for your each question for 5 questions. If the score is some is 50 marks, so in question 1 what was the overall performance, in question 2 what was the performance, so question wise the performance is analyzed. So we are now very much doing all these tasks rather than the actual teaching, isn't it? But at the same time the teaching is somewhere affected. So maybe these technologies will start playing the role and we may be almost engaged in doing all these facilities, providing the facilities. Okay. Now, at the same time, it will also automate the admin task. The earlier one was the teaching. So AI can step in and make quick work out of this task while at the same time offering the recommendations for how to close the gaps in learning. Although machines can already grade multiple choice tests, they are very close to being able to assess written responses as well. So here you can see AI and L&D working together. So like the automate the admin task, content suggestion. Okay. So then they do the analysis, they find the skill gap analysis. Okay. After finding the skill gap analysis, the AI listens, learns and answers through the virtual coach. So there are push formal classes which takes place. There is an exchange of knowledge which is happening through this expert. So the experts train the virtual coach. So there is a virtual coach. Okay. So what are the missing gaps and what is required? If there is a communication related issues, if he is not good in communication, so those skills can be enhanced. If he is not good in your verbal communication, so that can be enhanced. If he is not good in logic and problem solving, so those skills can be enhanced, so that those missing skills can help a learner cope up with the upcoming subjects in their academics. And then at the same time they create the capital knowledge capital over here. Okay, so like this the changing scenarios that you can find over here. Then AI in admissions, so you can have a robot. Nowadays if you'll visit few foreign university sites and all, they have the web bots. So chat box is there actually. You ask for your queries and that keep on replying anytime. And you have a feel as if the human is replying. No, it is the bot. It is the program. It is the AI based application. So you ask the questions and that bot is replying to you. So in physical form also you can have this robot. So at your institute level, this robot will be there. You ask him all your queries. The robot will also counsel you. The robot will also help you for admission procedure. that I want to there are types of intelligence. So one is the natural intelligence, and then second is the artificial intelligence. So natural intelligence, here you can just find out that see how naturally we had evolved ourselves and we had reached to this particular level. In artificial intelligence, now we are making the machines, we are designing the machines, and the machines are going to do all these things for us. The science and engineering of making the intelligent machines. So here you can find the decision-making systems which solve the complex problems. At the same time, it also increases the accuracy. Why we need the machine? Of course, to speed up the processing, to bring the accuracy. And there are high level of computations which are happening here. So just to perform this high level of computations, we need all these intelligent machines. There are types of AI, this you can find. So first is the narrow intelligence. So narrow intelligence, like you can see nowadays, some gadgets which are playing the role, and means which are application based, which are available. Then AI in general intelligence and AI with super intelligence. So let's see what exactly this narrow. So in narrow intelligence, the system like IBM Watson, Amazon Alexa, okay. So and then Google Waymo, okay. So these are the applications. So Waymo, this video I will show you. Then I will come to the Alexa also. Sir, someone help me. Just can you see the screen? This is the Google Waymo project. See, this is the driverless car.
My name is Nathaniel Fairfield. I'm a software engineer at Waymo. Back when we started this, we were the Google self-driving car project, and self-driving cars didn't really exist. Thinking about our first 1,000 miles, and then our first 10,000 miles, and our first 100, first million, you've actually got breadth and diversity of mileage, and you start to see some of the patterns of driving. The 10 million mile milestone is about 10 lifetimes of driving. It's a huge amount of experience that we've gained across the country in all kinds of driving conditions, and it takes that kind of experience to learn all of these lessons to really make that possible. How does Waymo see the ball before anyone else? It's always looking. It's always looking in all directions. The lasers are what lets it spot a small moving object that's approaching towards the car and estimate its position and velocity very precisely. So this is a very interesting case where there's actually a couple with a dog. At the same time, a jogger is just passing by, and the jogger swings around the dog out of the bike lane into the road. The car doesn't just understand where the agents are. It actually understands how they're going to interact in the near future and is able to make those predictions in the blink of an eye before you can really understand exactly what's going on. This is night construction, which, you know, as a human driver is one of the more stressful things. The car handles it really well because the car sees as well at night as it does during the day. For the lasers and for the radars, they see where the cones are, where that aisle of traffic that's being laid out here by the construction zone is going. Red lights and green lights, they're really important, but people sometimes don't obey that. In a case like this, where the red light runner happened, the car is actually checking all around in all directions all at once. And so it can see when there's somebody coming who looks like, wait, they're not really slowing down for their red light. And at some point we decided, wait, they actually look like they're gonna run the red light. Let's stop and let them go through. And then after they've gone, you know, on we go. So the thing that's amazing about this one is that you can't see in dust storms like these. There's actually a pedestrian out there that the car sees perfectly well in advance. They're just walking across the road. The car sees it using its lasers and radars and starts slowing down before you as a human even understand what's happening. A regular person has a lot of built-in assumptions about how the world works. The car is really thinking and is designed to consider all of the worst case stuff that we have ever seen and how that can play out. And so that makes it in many ways a very careful driver that is thinking through all the repercussions that you might not be doing. It doesn't get sleepy or drowsy or drunk or distracted by cell phones or distracted by the children in the back seat. The car is always paying attention to all of these factors and trying to think ahead. In the early days, we used to joke, how many engineers does it take to drive a driverless car? Because there'd be a bunch of people watching the thing, and so every mile it drove, there were a whole pile of people attending it. Those first 10 million miles were about learning and growing and proving things out. The next 10 million, the next 100 million, the next billion miles are about the cars just driving themselves, driving safely, driving people where they need to go, and really making it easy and safe for people to get around. And that's super exciting.
So this is one project which was Google Waymo project. It has been very well implemented and at present running there. The IBM success of IBM's AI strategy is the best demonstrated by the client success story. So this Watson was the project, IBM Watson, which has experienced 75% decrease in time employee spending searching for expert knowledge. So it is again another system which IBM has proposed. Then coming towards the education, that what will be the role of Alexa in classroom? Almost now Alexa has arrived in our home now. Slowly now we want to take this Alexa in your classrooms. So Google is having this project, means in collaboration with Amazon.
Alexa makes it easy to run the technology in your college classroom.
Sorry.
Alexa makes it easy to run the technology in your college classroom. With Alexa, you can start your class with just a few intuitive voice commands. Ask Alexa to dim the classroom smart lights and kick off your lecture.
Okay, switching to presentation mode.
When you finish your lesson, you can ask Alexa to send students reminders about upcoming deadlines.
Okay, I've sent your reminders to the class.
Learn more about what Alexa can do on your college campus today.
So like this, the applications are there. Coming to, so those were the the kind of applications, narrow intelligence, we say.
Wait for disturbance. I think Patel sir is not online. Patel sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So again, at present, as I already had mentioned, that these are the current limitations of our system, that we are still depending on the internet and all. So we have to, first of all, we have to be well equipped with all this infrastructure. Once we develop all this basic infrastructure, so slowly there are many more things to go and to come again, which we can really make our educational system more effective. So for this AI general intelligence, there is a R2D2 data, HL9 9000, these applications. So I'll just show you how this R2D2, so how it works. So again, you can find many more other applications. This is about the super intelligence like Skynet, Ultron, and the architects. This you can find. So all these are the 5 components like perception, learning, knowledge, reasoning, and planning. Okay. So when we say the perception, so in our AI system, as I mentioned that there are agents. So agents are through the sensors and all they are understanding perception. So deduce the state from sensors. It recognizes the patterns, means it is mapping what type of environment it is, whether the car is on the freeway or whether it is in the traffic road or wherever, and accordingly detects the features. So that is the perception. Learning. So when the whatever type of detection we have, like as a human being also, what we sense, accordingly we react, isn't it? So in the similar, based on the similar structure, our AI systems are also performing. So they extract the knowledge, data in, action out, and maps the state to the action. So what it has sensed and what type of action should take place. So that happens. The knowledge. So already the system has to be trained with the knowledge, because if you don't know how to react in what situation, so then that means there is a lack of knowledge. Okay. So you have to make your systems, means those we call them as a learning based system. And so they represent the learning, the collection of information. Planning. So last is set and achieve the goals. Okay. Now, about the AI, all these things already we had discussed that there is a predictive analytics which is done. Then again, we can say uh, deep learning, machine learning, image processing, vision. So all these are the parts which are associated with the AI. Just to differentiate, at present from AI, machine learning, deep learning, all they are derived. So AI is the mother branch, we can say. Then machine learning, which has been derived, and then now the deep learning, what we say the neural networks and all. So early development of AI was like this. This you can just find it. There was no as such effective development. Advances in data-driven AI was like more compute, more on data. Algorithms were been proposed. Success in data-driven. So these are the projects. This you can find. Limitations. Then in second season, like 2010 to 2020. So really the AI is doing very well. And today we are finding the stand of AI in this particular form. So what exactly this machine learning is? So machine learning is like you have a data, we use some algorithm and we try to do the various types of processing, and then it makes the prediction like the different weather conditions are there. So the predictions have been made by the sensors and all, where the algorithm plays the role. So like this, the smart systems, what we call nowadays, so they are almost designed using the machine learning. So in machine learning, again, that f of x, you can find that function which is employed and that does the job of processing. So here one example is there that apple and bananas are placed, and the system will automatically detect based on the input parameters. So the apples are having the high length and width, means both the objects, banana and apple. So they are been mapped, or their information is stored using the length and height. Okay. So using this length and height, so what is the common length and height appears for apple, and what is the length and height appears for banana? So that is given as a knowledge. And in this way, the system learns about the apple and banana, and some unknown. See the length 7.5 and height is there. So your system is automatically detecting and predicting that this is the apple. The object, unknown object is apple. Okay. Here again, the cat and dog is there, and it will just detect that whether it is a cat. Okay. level photo. So this is all happening using the deep learning. Okay. So I will not go in that detail again. Coming towards the last point, that what will be the AI again, those whatever myths we have related to the AI. So AI can change the whole teaching experience. Like many people have a misconception that robots will take over the teachers if AI makes a way into education. However, the truth is that AI will make the whole teaching experience easier by driving the personalization and efficiency in education and learning. And if AI takes over the educational system, that it can be used the best attributes of machines and teachers to maximize in order to give the best learning experience to the students. AI can help students in adaptive learning. Okay, so the Noji helps the student in remembering difficult words by tracking them down and suggesting the time to practice. So these are some tools which are now in, or small applications which are now introduced. Splash Math, so helps them learn math with number of personalized tasks, games, and exercise. Now, AI can make global classroom accessible for everyone. And so our current webinar itself is the, somewhere I will say, now it has become the global classroom, isn't it? So if I feel feel that in XYZ online virtual room, I'm getting good knowledge, I will go there like that. I can join that room wherever I find interesting. AI can provide one-to-one learning sessions to students. Again, this is possible, whereas in practical, it is not possible at present. AI can automate admin tasks. Okay. So let's welcome this AI in the AI technology in the education field actually. Okay. So if any question answers are there, so we'll take it accordingly. Now I will just stop sharing. You can unmute yourself.
Any questions? Any questions?
If questions are not there, that means the session was useless, I will say. Because say the conference is to have a brainstorming actually. It will not discuss or it will not have the interaction, then we cannot justify it otherwise. As I had given the example, the AI has been originated from conference only. Use of Alien developing chatbots. How can we use AI in making e-content? There are some tools now, yet say at present, to be very clear, still AI has not been initiated, because when AI will start, when the thinking ability will actually be adapted by the systems. Okay. Right now we are calling them as a machine learning. We are making the machines to learn. Okay. They are understanding the patterns of the data and in what way the human is expecting the results. So in that manner, those machine learning based applications are there, which are playing the role. Take an example of your mobile. In your mobile, you just try to unlock your screen using your biometrics. But first of all, that security feature has been understood by the machine, your mobile. So there is an algorithm which understands your different patterns of fingers. After understanding, it learns it. And then when you apply, that time it unlocks. Okay. So that is the one thing. Use of Alien developing chatbots. There are many other tools you can say, which are used to design the chatbots. You can go to Amazon Cloud also using AI ML. It is possible. So you can design those chatbots also. Any other questions?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Over to Madam, sir.
Yeah, sir, thank you so much. It was indeed a very useful session. The knowledge and the depth of artificial intelligence you shared was indeed something which we were not aware of. Just we were knowing that today's world revolves around AI. That is, everything is working on artificial intelligence. Whatever we are using, the digital world, everything. So the background behind it was very useful, and such an informative session it was. Lastly, the videos which you relatively showed us, that were all real-time videos which have been implemented outside India. Also, they are in progress. So it was nice to see all that things. Thank you so much for your efforts and the time you have shared for the ICS college. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Madam, second. Hello. Kaustubh sir.
Hello.
Kaushik sir, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Over to madam.
Thank you, sir. Today we are about to start our second session of the day 4. We have with us the most prominent and versatile dynamic personality with us, that is Kaushik Karandikar. He is a full stack developer, Coronado Springs, US currently. To describe and let you know about him is, he is master's in electrical engineering. He has completed his master's degree in electrical engineering from University of Buffalo, sunny Buffalo, New York. He is currently working in United States Anti-Doping Agency, Colorado Springs, as a full-stack developer. Moreover, he has a full-stack developer experience in various companies like Astercard, New York City, New York, and also Optimal Business Solutions, Princeton, New Jersey. Thank you, sir, for showing your presence from US and managing your time.
Thank you.
Request you to start the session, and over to you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. So my name is Kaushik Karandikar. Sajali, thank you for the wonderful introduction. And Sachin sir, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak in front of you guys. The session that I have planned is basically just a conversation. So I would really love to have a two-way street. You guys can just ask me questions in the chat box. You can just raise your hand and just interrupt me whenever you want. So let's just have a basic conversation. I'm not going to share any videos or anything. I'm just going to share my experience on what I feel is currently necessary to come in the IT industry and to survive in the IT industry, and how to go about it. So as Sajali gave my introduction, I'll just quickly give my years of experience. So basically, I did my master's from US. I completed my master's in 2016, and I've been working since then. So it's been around 4.5 years that I've been working in this industry. The first company was Optimal Business Solutions. The second company was MasterCard, which is the credit card company. And the current company, as she told you, was United States Anti-Doping Agency. So let me just tell you a bit more about what exactly United States Anti-Doping Agency does and what exactly my role was in that. So, and I hope everyone is comfortable with English and Marathi. So I'm just going to switch between English and Marathi, both languages. So United States Anti-Doping Agency, basically, whenever you have an athlete, you have an Olympic level athlete, a national level athlete, a state level athlete, American athletes predominantly, what we do is to test them. We take their urine tests, their blood tests, their oral swabs to make sure that they are not using any performance enhancement drugs, which would basically be cheating. So we basically test them, and if we find that they are using some drugs, we basically prosecute them and go to the court and stuff like that. So my role, I've been working in this company for the past 1.5 years now. My role primarily is of a senior full stack developer. So what I exactly do is that जी लोक actually athletes कडे जातात, त्यांचे ब्लड घ्यायला, त्यांचं युरिन घ्यायला, whatever the test that they have to do, त्या लोकांसाठी एक आम्ही मोबाईल ऍप बनवला होता. सो ऍथलीट इन्फॉर्मेशन असेल, कुठली टेस्ट घ्यायची असेल, जे काय असेल ते आमचं आता एका मोबाईल ऍपवरती आहे. सो बेसिकली मी त्या टीममध्ये एक सिनियर डेव्हलपर म्हणून आहे. So, okay, sure. So I'll just talk in English, no problem. Uh, so what I have decided to do is that I'm just going to start by talking about some basic data structures and algorithms. I'm not going to go anything, I'm not going to talk about anything technical, but just my experience on what exactly you need to know in the industry and what you can, it's okay if you don't know. So I'm going to start with data structures and algorithms because every one of you know that how important that is. But we, at least when I was in my engineering, when I was first learning data structures and algorithms, I was like, do we even need this? So why is data structures and algorithms so important for all of us to know? And virtually any company that you apply to, any company that you go to, you will be faced with data structures and algorithm questions. So I'm just going to tell you a couple of interesting real life applications just to tell you why data structures and algorithms are so important. So consider Google, right? Everyone goes to Google, we search something, and whenever we start typing something, we get number of searches, and less than 1 second, we get whatever information we need. Now, consider that in 2014, that there was some guy, I forgot the name of that guy, but he was studying exactly the database of Google. And he found out, because Google does not publish the database, he found out that the size of the Google database is 10 million terabytes. So 10 million is basically 1 crore, and 1 terabyte is 1024 gigabytes, right? So basically, a Google database is somewhere close to 1024 crore GB. So when you start typing something, the algorithm is basically searching for all this data in this huge database and replying back to you in like less than 1 second. So consider if you use some bubble sort instead of a merge sort, and a binary search instead of a linear search or something like that, then the entire performance of Google goes down. When we say a performance of that company basically goes down, it means that they are going to stop making money, right? Ultimately, all the companies are here to make money. So performance in any company has to be optimum. One more example I can give you of my own doing was that when I was at MasterCard, so at MasterCard, basically you have a credit card, you swipe somewhere, and within a couple of seconds, you pay your bills, right? Now, when we were coding, we had to send the payload, whatever the payload. Whenever you swipe, you basically send a payload, right? Your name, credit card information, stuff like that. We had to send that particular information to our servers in less than 80 milliseconds. So if our reply is more than 80 milliseconds, we would have to basically just go back and make sure that our code is optimum enough to have that 80 millisecond bandwidth. So data structures and algorithms, I cannot stress how important that particular stuff is going to be if you really want to crack any sort of in an interview, big company, small company, anything. One more interesting fact is that right now, like around a month ago, I was doing some work in my company, and we have a different vendor who actually has sort of prepared a web page for us. So my job is to send him the data from my database, right? Now, something went wrong in our code, and it was taking 14 minutes for us to send around 2,500 packets of data. In our database, we had 2,500 of it. It's not a big number, but it was taking 14 minutes. And then we realized there was one bug. And when we changed that, it was actually a data structure issue. When we fixed that, it came down to 2 seconds. So even in a company like us, where we have a payload which is extremely small, it is nowhere comparable to Google or Amazon or Microsoft or anything, but still we were facing with such a huge issue. So please guys, data structures and algorithms, everything, linked lists, stacks, queues, whatever it is, make sure that you know the fundamentals of it, and just try to read about what real life technology, real life application it is using. so that it's not only a theoretical part that you just mug up or something like that. So once we have, this was basically the elephant in the room. This is the first major thing that everyone has to know if they have to know about computer science and come in IT and work as a developer. Now, the next thing is, let us talk about the basic types of software development. What are the basic types? So according to me, I can split software development into 4 particular types. One is called the front-end development, which is also called the user interface or the UI development. One is the back-end development, which is the server-side development. One is the database development. And the fourth one, which nowadays is going to be extremely important for every one of us to know, is basically cloud, right? Everything nowadays you hear, everything is going to cloud. So being a cloud engineer is actually a job right now. So a master or you can work in a specific field in a specific technology, like a front-end developer or a back-end developer. My job right now is basically of a full stack developer. So I write the front-end code, the back-end code, the database, and work on cloud technologies. So let us talk about front-end technology specifically. Front-end technology is basically what you see on your web page. The buttons, the modals, whatever, the text fields, everything that you see on the UI is basically a part of the front-end technology, right? All the colors of the buttons, the beautiful animation effects, whatever it is, all comes under part of front-end technology. Now, some people, if they are interested only in front-end technology, they can definitely make a good career just by being in that specific field. There are a lot of different technologies that or libraries that basically you can learn to make a good living on just being a front-end engineer or a front-end developer. One thing and the basic thing that we need to know if you want to become a full stack developer, a front-end developer, is JavaScript. And why JavaScript is because whenever you have a web page runs on a browser, right? It might be a Google Chrome, a Mozilla Firefox, Internet Explorer, anything. That particular Mozilla Firefox or Google Chrome only understands JavaScript. So if you want to be a front-end developer, you have to have a basic understanding of JavaScript, because in the interviews, you will be definitely be grilled on the basics of JavaScript. Now, even JavaScript has what we call different flavors, right? The basic version of JavaScript, which was used till now, was called vanilla JavaScript, which is the basic version of JavaScript. Now, as we are going ahead with technologies, JavaScript is also upgrading itself, and we have some different flavors of JavaScript, which are called ES6 and ES2017, ES 2017. And the latest one that is coming out is TypeScript. Now we'll talk about TypeScript a bit later, but vanilla JavaScript, ES6 and ES 2017 are basically the same with some minor upgradations. But if you go for an interview, or even most of the code that anyone anywhere writes in the industry is going to be ES6 or ES 2017. So you probably need to know that as well. I'll touch on TypeScript a bit later when we talk about backend as well. So now coming to the backend code, backend is where all of your business logic resides, right? Your authentication module, whatever your business does, everything, the basic logic resides in your backend or your server side programming. The job of the UI programming should only be to make sure that you display stuff. You get some data from the database, you take that data, you display that data on the web page. That's it. You have to have, you cannot basically write business logic in your front end, or you should not write your business logic in your front end. Now, server-side programming, we all know Java, right? It's one of the most famous languages. You have C#, you have like the .NET framework, and you have Python, you have multiple backend technologies. You have Node.js, which basically is JavaScript, but for the server-side JavaScript or the backend side of JavaScript. Now, if you want to be just a backend developer, it is of utmost importance that you know data structures and algorithms to the core of it, because a backend developer just has to make sure that you write logic and you write logic in the most optimal performant way. So you will be definitely grilled with all kinds of data structures and algorithm questions. So please make sure that you know that. Now, what I wanted to talk about TypeScript is that TypeScript is kind of JavaScript. Basically, there's something called TSC, which is a TypeScript compiler. So TypeScript compiles down to JavaScript, which is then, of course, displayed on the web page. But TypeScript was made actually for developers who are backend developers and are proficient in Java, and they kind of don't know JavaScript and kind of don't want to switch over an entire different language. So TypeScript is basically like Java. You have everything what Java offers. It's kind of an object-oriented JavaScript language. You have public classes, private classes, static classes, whatever you have in Java. But it is for a front-end technologist who basically is knowing Java right now, but wants to switch to front-end. Then comes the database part. We probably know a lot about databases: SQL, NoSQL. You have multiple technologies: MySQL, SQL Server. You have MongoDB or Cassandra, which is a later version right now, and all of these come into a NoSQL category. You have DynamoDB, which basically is a database of Amazon. Amazon created a database of themselves. So all of, especially DynamoDB, is going to be, right now it's very famous. So it's good to know all these latest technologies as well. But these are the basic things that everyone knows: front end, back end, database. But now, because of the introduction of cloud and cloud technologies, it's going to be extremely important for a good resume, or for probably you to get good interview calls from good companies, to know cloud technologies in great detail as well. And you can choose from a variety. There are a variety of cloud technologies, right? You have Amazon Web Services, you have Google Cloud Platform, you have Microsoft Azure, you have Pivotal Cloud Foundry. You have these multiple types of that technologies that you can learn. Currently, I am working on Amazon Web Services, so I don't know exactly the nitty-gritties of Google Cloud Platform and other technologies, but Amazon Web Services is one of the most, I would say, wonderful technologies, cloud technologies that I have discovered. And some of the names that probably should appear on your resume for you getting good interview calls is AWS one. And in AWS now you have S3 and DynamoDB and serverless. So serverless is going to be a big thing going forward. So when you are studying for your interviews, or even trying to apply for your interviews, make sure that you have some of the knowledge. You start reading some of the things for the cloud technologies. And if you can put something in your resume, it's actually of great help. Now, I don't have actually India numbers, but when I was applying for my job, and when I was researching it, I got to know that just having a cloud certification, like AWS certification, actually increases the salary by around $20,000. So if you convert it into Indian rupees, it's like 15 lakh rupees. Now, probably it would not be that much if you are in India and looking for a job in India, but you can see that there is actually a upside to it just by having one certification, and those certifications are not technically too hard to crack. So you can go to Google and just search for Amazon Web Services certifications. You can find a lot of material to read from, a lot of videos to learn from, and having a cloud certification is actually very important, I would say. Even if you are just a front-end developer, or even if you are just a back-end developer, if you have a cloud technology certification, it will definitely increase your worth in the market. Now, the third thing, so yeah, so one of the major things that I actually wanted to talk about is now all these technologies that we have in the system today, or in the industry today, are not taught in our education system, right? And the kind of technologies that are coming up, or the kind of technologies that are being invented every single day, and the kind of education system that we have been following, the disparity between the two is just going to keep on growing. So I remember when I was back in college, all we knew or all we were taught was basic data structures and algorithms, and that too just the theoretical part of it. Now, if you don't learn cloud technologies by yourself, or have someone to at least tell you what is a cloud technology, then when you go into the market, you are basically racing against a Mercedes Benz when you are on a bicycle. It's literally that sort of a speed with which the industry is changing every single day. For example, Amazon, when in 2008 or 2006, something like that, when they first started with AWS services, there were hardly 15 to 20 services that they had. In 10 or 12 years, now they have more than 200 or 250 services. So in 10 years, if they are adding more than 200 services, and those services range from machine learning to AI development to database development to everything. So the world is changing pretty fast, and I would really hope that everyone learns cloud technologies. I would also very respectfully and humbly, if I can also ask the college that if it is not in our hands to actually change the education system, but we can at least make sure that we call someone just for a one hour presentation or a 1 hour talk on exactly what cloud technology is and how we can benefit from that cloud technology, or what exactly we should learn in those cloud technologies. And that is actually I can't again stress the importance of the fact that cloud technology is the way to go forward, and you have to know something about that. Now, apart from that, one thing that I wanted to really talk about is in the industry, primarily we have two sets of industries, right? One is called the service-based sector, and one is called the product-based sector. Now, service-based sector companies are like, you know, all the big names: Wipro, TCS, L&T Infotech, Mahindra and Mahindra, all these companies. Service-based tech industries basically have their clientele, and they are developing softwares for their particular clients. Product-based technologies are someone who has their own products. Like for in United States Anti-Doping Agency, our product is basically our athletes, right? Or our product is basically to test the athletes. In MasterCard, our product was literally a credit card. So what I wanted to talk to you about is that what I've seen, especially in India, um, when people join service-based industries, and this is a purely personal view, so I might be completely wrong, but this is just what I have observed over the past 5 years in the industry, is that service-based industry, if you join in right after your college, when you don't have much experience, you kind of stagnate your growth. And there are multiple reasons to this, right? One thing, and I know personally some people who after college basically joined some companies, and they were kept on bench. They were kept on bench for 8 months, 9 months, 10 months. After college, I would say probably 10 years, the first 7 to 10 years are the most crucial in your entire career. If you learn different technologies, if you work in different domains, and when I say domain, I would say that MasterCard was a financial domain, USADA is a sports domain, or Google is some other domain, Facebook is some other domain, right? So you need to have exposure to these multiple domains, not just because that you can learn multiple technologies. A technology is nothing but a language, right? Java is nothing but a language. It's like me going to learn Spanish. I can learn Spanish in 3 months. Similarly, I can learn Java in 3 months. But all the product-based companies, all these companies, the kind of innovation that they do, even small companies to big companies, everyone, the kind of innovation the product-based companies do is way more than what the service-based industry would do, which makes sense because a product-based industry, if I have a product, I have to keep on innovating. Otherwise, tomorrow no one's going to buy my product, right? Someone's going to come up with a better product. So I would personally definitely say that if you can start looking for small product-based companies. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Google or a Facebook or anything. It can just be a startup, but a product-based company would definitely give you much more exposure than you would get in a service-based based industry. Personally, for me, I would definitely go to a service-based industry, but after, when I'm say 35, when I really want to balance my work life and my home life, at that time I would probably choose a service-based industry. But till then, to expand your knowledge base, to expand your domain base, it's vital that you have worked in a product-based industry, no matter small or big. One more thing is that when you try to switch companies, right, the domain knowledge is of particular importance. So if I have worked in Mastercard, I know for sure that if tomorrow I apply in Paytm or Visa, I know the particular domain of how credit cards actually work. And that is extremely important, because even if the companies are different, the kind of things that they are doing are particularly similar, right? Everyone has a credit card. You swipe the credit card, the credit card contacts the bank, your money is gone, you buy the product. It's as simple as that. So domain knowledge in particular thing is very important. Now I would like to tell you one it's a small story actually on why I particularly joined this company. So I was in Mastercard, I was in New York City, and I was like, okay, I'm in New York City, I'm in Mastercard, what else do I want? Colorado Springs, as compared to New York City, is an extremely small town in Central America, where I have no Indian people around me. They're all Americans. It's a completely different culture, completely different city, everything. I still categorically chose this company because of this domain. In software development, I personally haven't seen a sports domain company which is actually developing their own software to make sure that the athletes are safe, or to make sure that if the athletes are doping, they are held accountable. Now, such companies can actually have a big impact. So when I personally look for companies, I look for companies who are actually making impact to human life. Like for Google, if someone is working in Google Maps, you know that thousands and billions of people are using Google Maps every day. So for USADA, there's a small story. Most of you might be knowing the cyclist Lance Armstrong, right? There is a competition called Tour de France, and Lance Armstrong was basically one of the best cyclists ever. He won the Tour de France 7 times, which is more than anyone else. Our company, USADA, basically somehow knew in the early 2000s that he's doping. He's taking drugs. He's taking testosterone. He's taking performance enhancement. Everything that is banned, he's taking that just before the match, and he's winning the match. So everything went through, and in 2008, Lance Armstrong was actually stripped of all of his titles. So all of his 7 titles were stripped off. Now, this is a company that I would actually call a high impact company. And one of the stories that our CEO always tells us is that from the inception of Tour de France, which was in 1902 or 1903, something like that. So it's been 118 years that Tour de France is going on. And in these 118 years, there were only 14 years, just 14 years where you have no winner, right? 7 years was because of this guy, Lance Armstrong, because he doped and his titles were stripped off. The other 7 years was because of World War II. So you can see what kind of impact a company can have on human life, that for 7 years, you didn't have a winner because the entire world was fighting each other. And 7 years, you didn't have a winner because one person was taking drugs. So whenever you join a company, it actually also gives more motivation to work, right? In my own way, in a very small way, whatever I'm doing right now, I know that I have some sort of a responsibility towards the athlete for his benefit, or towards the society, so that I can make sure that the athlete does not succeed in his nefarious designs. So in your own short way, you get more, you can basically work more. And that is, again, as I said, it is a completely personal opinion. But then if you tell me to work for 12 hours or 14 hours, I really wouldn't mind, because I actually know that whatever I'm doing is impacting something. So whenever you go to search a company, forget about all the technologies and data structures and algorithms for 1 second, but because you are basically just going to need that in any company that you apply. But you have to make sure that you choose a company which you like. You have to really go through a lot of research the domain that you like. It might be a financial thing, it might be something like a sports domain, but make sure that you have a domain where you know that you can impact people's lives. Make sure that also, if you know a particular technology, make sure that you can work with that particular technology, because it would actually increase your chance of, forget about promotions and everything, but it would actually increase your value in that company. If your company switches to any other technology, it's okay. It's again, as I said, it's a language. As long as you have your fundamentals clear, as long as you have your data structures and algorithms clear, you know that this is a technology, this is a syntax for Java, this is a syntax for JavaScript, stuff like that. So when you research for a company, the first thing that you would need to do is to make sure that you look for the domain. Of course, the financial health of the company is also extremely important. You can't just join a company which is making loss in the past 5 years and is on the verge of bankruptcy or something like that. But a domain importance is very, very important. Make sure that whenever you go for an interview, you ask for specific technologies, what they are doing, what kind of an entire product they have, what are their future plans, and where do you exactly fit in that. Because if you find the right company and if you find the right fit, it can basically do wonders for you. One more thing that I would personally, and I've always done that over the past 4.5 years, is that I've always been a full stack developer. And I completely agree that some people might just not be interested in front end development, and they might just be, he or she might be a real genius in back end development or database development, and that's perfectly fine. But when you start your career, try to start your career as a full stack developer, because it actually increases your chances by a wide, huge margin. And once you work as a full stack developer for probably 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, then you would probably know that, okay, I'm more interested towards backend or I'm more interested towards front end. For me personally, I would definitely stay as a full stack developer, but with a bit of a more orientation towards backend. I kind of really don't like the front end part. But full stack developer, even in terms of your resume, it actually stands out pretty well, because even for if you are a company and you want to hire a front end guy, a back end guy, and a database guy, you can basically just hire one full stack developer who can do the same amount of things. Probably he'll take double the amount of time, but then as a company, you are saving money. So nearly all the startups are going to be looking for full stack developers. They don't want a 10-man team with 2 people on front end, 2 people back end, 2 people database, stuff like that. They would only hire 3 people who can do everything across the board. These type of things are necessarily not true when you start to increase the scale of the company. If you have something like a MasterCard, where we have a team of 20, probably we had a team of 18 people, we had to have dedicated backend guys and dedicated front end guys and dedicated database guys. The problem with that type of a company is that when I was working at MasterCard, I was a front end developer there. I was a mobile developer. We were not even allowed to see or touch the backend code. We did not even know what the backend code is. It's a complete black box. Of course, we were never allowed to touch the database because you had sensitive stuff, credit card information, addresses, and stuff like that. So that is also one thing that you might keep into consideration when you are trying to search for a company. And that is why I personally would prefer a smaller company, a startup company, where the growth is exponential, as compared to service side sector, where when you get a job, you get a job, or when you get a client, you get a client. But if you're on the bench, you can't really do anything about that. So those are the things that I really feel that everyone should have. And I would now open up to any questions, any things that you have, or let's just have a chat on that. I'll also actually give you my email address in chat. If you guys have any questions, probably not now, probably 2 months down the line, just feel free to give me a ping and I'll try to respond back to you. But if anyone has any questions, any queries, please feel free to ask right now. Recent technologies we must focus on. Yes. So actually, thank you. When I was talking, I completely forgot about that. So especially if you want to be a front-end guy, there are three technologies that or three libraries that I would prefer. And the first one is called Angular. So Angular is a technology which was developed, and let me just also ping you in chat. Okay. So Angular is a technology which was primarily developed by Google for their internal use in 2008, I think. And they like the technology so much that they basically open source that particular technology. And Angular currently is in its version 9. And Angular, when I talked about TypeScript, Angular actually uses TypeScript. So TypeScript has been heavily used because of Angular. So Angular is a very, very powerful framework. And if someone has a mastery on Java, especially, and they want to switch to front-end technologies, TypeScript and Angular is the way to go. The second technology, which is probably the most famous technology right now, is called React. React is a technology which was developed by Facebook. Again, they developed it for their own internal use. They liked it, they open sourced it. But React, for most newcomers, is actually a technology which is easier to learn than Angular. And currently, it is the most widely used technology. Uh, the third one is called Vue, VUE. So it's developed by a guy. Basically, Vue is nothing but they took the best things of Angular, they took the best things of React, boom, they have Vue. But then Vue, I don't know, it's not actually heavily used right now. Probably a year or two down the line, it might be used, but not right now. So I would definitely start with React on the front end. Backend, you have Java and Node.js, which are the two heavily used. Java, everyone knows that. Node.js, if you are a front-end developer and you know JavaScript, but you want to go to a backend developer, you probably don't want to learn Java, right? You can just go to Node.js. Databases, you have a whole lot of databases. I don't even know where to start. MySQL, SQL Server, DynamoDB, MongoDB, Cassandra. There are a lot of technologies. It really depends on what kind of database you want to use. And cloud technologies, as I told you, Google Cloud Platform, Microsoft Azure, and Amazon Web Services. Start with anything. The fundamentals of it at the atomic level, at the granular level, remains the same. I am personally a big fan of AWS because I use AWS, but you guys are free to choose from anything that you want. According to you, which career would you prefer the most, except stack development? So one thing that I have that I haven't touched upon is basically QA, and QA is also a big part in it. And I didn't speak about that because primarily I don't know about that much because I've never been a QA. But apart from stack development, I would say network development is it is an interesting thing because with cloud technologies now, security is one of the basic most important things. So you can go to security domain, you can go to networking domain, because cloud is nothing but someone else has their server, right? It's not that you actually store something in cloud. Amazon has their own servers where they actually have routers and cables and all these things. So networking is one big thing. Security is another big thing. If you don't want development, apart from definitely QA, if someone is really interested in user interfaces, you can be a UX developer, right? Where you actually have prepare screens for the developer to actually then code into. You can be a data architect, which is actually a very important thing. You can't just sit on your computer and start writing the code, right? You have to actually think through the type of architecture that you are going to have your code, because the code ultimately has to be scalable. You might write just this piece of a code right now, but 10 years down the line, the code is going to increase. Your data size is going to increase. Everything is going to increase. So data architect is actually a very, very important and a very difficult profession if you really want to choose. Anything else, guys? Okay, I think that is it. Thank you so much. I'm sorry if I don't have any slides or anything for you guys, but I really wanted to keep it as informal as I can, and I didn't want to bore you with slides and anything else. So, how has technological changes impacted the tourism and hospitality industry since 1800? Is that a question for me? Are you asking in terms of development? Dr. Narayan Gupta, sir? I'm sorry, I didn't get that question. But just actually because I read about tourism and hospitality industry, I would just like to tell you that I was actually, okay, sir, yeah. So actually that's a really good question because tourism and hospitality industry is basically right now the scale at which tourism and hospitality is increasing is because we have technology and we have internet, right? So I would say it is a very, very important thing. So I had actually I was looking for jobs in India, and I was looking for jobs in Make My Trip and OU and stuff like that. So Make My Trip, especially if you really read about Make My Trip and the kind of data architecture that they have, it is a really, really nice company to just view into. Forget about applying for a job there and working there, but try to read about the kind of data architecture that they have, because you need to keep a track of every single flight from every single country every single second. So it's basically a huge industry, and especially their backend infrastructure. Even industries like Netflix, Hotstar, HBO, all the streaming services, especially their infrastructure side is humongous. If you have heard about microservices, Netflix is basically the pioneer in microservices, and the kind of data architecture that these guys have is mind blowing. So actually even start reading about data architecture, even if you want to go in development, because it will really open your mind into what other people think on how exactly do you want to code, how exactly do you want your product to look like an end product to look like, and then how do you prepare your roadmap to sort of go in that direction.
Thank you, Kaushik. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah, your experience actually speaks a lot about your journey so far.
Thank
So
you.
it was really indeed, we have seen that your travel from India itself to US, how it was. So all it was about.
I'm sorry to break you. I just had that one question from someone.
Okay,
I'm
no worries.
so sorry.
Yeah, carry on.
So Ketki has asked, can you mention in specific certification courses and fees for IT students? As I said, AWS certification right now, I would say is one of the most prominent certifications that you can have. Any certifications related to actual development, like you had that Sun certification and Oracle certification, those are not going to really help you. But AWS certifications are really important. The fees, I know for sure that it is around $200. I don't know exactly the fees in India, but it might be somewhere between 10,000 and 20,000 rupees. But it is worth every single penny. Also, one thing, let me also message that. So I'm just pinging you guys a website. It is called udemy.com, and it is a very informative site. So if you want to have all the video lectures, right, on any single thing, React, Node, Java, Angular, AWS, you can actually buy courses from that. Most of the time, this particular website is on sale, and that sale is like 98 or 99%. Yes, I'll definitely mention the certificate course in the chat. So you can basically get courses for like 700 rupees or 800 rupees, and those courses are really nice. Sajali, I'm so sorry I cut you off. Please.
No, that's what we are about to conclude, and we are about to say you thanks for guiding all of us based on your current market situation and also on the new technologies and all technologies or the certifications where everyone can focus on for the start of their career. Thank you
Yes.
for managing your with us the Indian time and putting your efforts in contributing and putting feathers in this session. Thank you so
No
much,
problem. I'm going to
and
have
all the
nice
best
sleep.
for your
Nice
future
sleep now.
endeavor. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sajid sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all.